The time has come. Today is the day the US goes to the polls. And the election, whatever happens, is going to be just half the battle for the rest of the world. For people like us who are not directly on mainland United States, but are more than likely going to be greatly affected by America's new international policy approaches. Now, be it pro-global south or anti-global south, be it propagation of wars or pulling out of them, be it boasting of a new united front wherein the US leads the charge against the likes of China and Russia with North Korea, or be it a whole new push for NATO. The fact of the matter is the global south and the rest of the world has a lot to look forward to in terms of what is to come. Get a brief overview of where we are currently. Odds are it's going to be a cutthroat race. All the states have it smack dab in the middle, some going left, some going right. Who wins, we'll know by the end of the day tomorrow, and we will come out with a special video for that. Stay tuned for it. But first, the Russia-Ukraine war and everything that it has surmounted to in terms of, well, being the catalyst for global conflicts is something a lot of us can't really ignore anymore. This is where it all began. It began with Russia's invasion of Ukraine. For whatever purposes, there are narratives painted on both sides. There is question of Ukraine wanting to join NATO, Ukraine wanting to push back Russia. For Russia, there's been a growing expansion of NATO, which they are completely against, and they had set in stone that if NATO was to reach their borders, it would be all-out war. This is where we are, and this is what the conflict initially was about. Today, it's been almost 1,000 days is what we're nearing to. And what we found out most recently is that, hey, it was not just about nations picking sides when it came to the First World. We had the US backing Ukraine with $56.3 billion in funding. And to no one's surprise, is what we realized with China coming to the rescue for Russia and North Korea, now sending troops to fight in the front lines for Russia as well. The deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council openly said to the US that do not take our warnings for utilizing nuclear weapons lightly, because there are no lengths that we will not go towards. This sounds more like a desperate nation trying to fend off any and all possibilities of an incursion in its own territory. Well, after the fall of the USSR, there was barely anything that Russia could hold on to and reclaim over the years. Expansionary tendencies in a way, yes. Was it necessary to go for Ukraine? Some might argue yes, some might argue no. Bottom line is, innocent people have died. Innocent people have been displaced. People that were pursuing education in Ukraine have been asked to leave. There were evacuations on mass scales. People have been deployed to the front lines that were in reserves. If you look at a Ukrainian, and an Ukrainian is signed up to be a reserve force fighter for his nation, if they get called to the front lines, that person will go, irrespective of who it's against. Well, that was one side of the equation. Then we saw the Israel-Hamas conflict break out after October the 7th. And we saw a new wave of the US providing funding to Israel with upwards of $17.9 billion there. You see, we're at a very sensitive place when it comes to geopolitics today. We've had international terror organizations sprouting up in the incubation chamber that has become Afghanistan. We've got conflicts that are more diverse and more complex today than ever before. There are no two-cut clear sides. We've got nations that are refusing to pick sides, and yet those that are being forced to. Today, we understand that whoever wins this election when it comes to the US will have a massive role to play, and the label of the leader of the free world will have to be justified more than ever before.